Wanted to ask you guys a question before we get started talking about Framily. And that's the question that all of us face probably every single year. Have you ever had an awkward Thanksgiving or Christmas? Raise your hand. Usually you're stuck sitting with a bunch of cousins that you're supposed to know, and you're like, don't really know you, or some like aunts you've never heard of before, or like a second cousin that I don't even really know what second cousins are. But, sometimes those distant relatives, they don't feel like your family, but you're like forced to spend time with them. You guys ever been put at the kids' table when you're just like way too old to be at the kids' table? And you're just sitting there like, yeah. So, is that what family is? Is family just the people that are related to you? Is family just your blood and legal relatives? Well, yeah, in a way. But I think in a bigger way, family is something that you choose. And I'm not saying that, your blood and your legal family isn't your real family, but ultimately you choose your family. It's a choice to love somebody in your family. I grew up with Mrs. Wolford. It was a choice to love her every day, and she did not make it easy. And let's be honest, I didn't make it easy either. You can ask her some stories. It's a choice for me every day to love my wife, to love my daughter. Love is a choice. And so, in that same vein, Framily is a choice. So your family is a choice. You have to choose to love your parents. You have to choose to love your friends. It doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come just by waiting and hoping. Framily is a choice you make probably every single day. So there are two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about a community that you belong in, and then your role in that community. So let's talk about the first one. Choose a community. For a lot of you, you guys belong to a lot of different things. And it's important, especially in this stage of life, because there's more opportunities for you to grow into an independent adult when you surround yourself with a community. The more friends you have, the more opportunities you have to learn, the more opportunities you have to use your talents and your skills. And the more help you get in times of need. If you don't have a community of people around you, it's really hard to get through difficult times. So communities are important. And at this stage in your development, researchers show that, in your brain, for whatever reason, something triggers and you start to reject your family that you grew up in, and you start looking for that surrogate family. So you're searching for a surrogate family, a family that is somewhere else, a community. For whatever reason, that's what you want. That's why you join clubs. That's why you join sports teams. That's why you join groups. And you love belonging to them. And I think it's because communities accomplish stuff. Here's what I mean by that. There are times where if you're on a sports team, you feel closer to your teammates when you have a big win or you have a great season. There are times where you kind of feel closer to your teammates than your actual brothers and sisters sometimes. And it depends on your relationships, of course. But maybe, I think, it's because you're actually accomplishing something together. And I think a community is something you can look back at and you say, wow, look what we did. And that creates memories. You can look at trophies. You can look at the stories that you have. If your family or your family doesn't have stories, are you even really a family? You could probably think of really funny stories, really funny bonds that you have together, because family is not family without stories. If you don't have any stories about your family, I don't know. I don't think you really have a family. I think you just have people that you live with. Like your parents are your roommates, basically, and they pay for your rent and they give you food. They're not really your family unless there's some kind of bond, unless there's some kind of story. So a family is not family without stories, and stories of struggle, stories with memories, stories with adventure. When we were growing up, I think it was when I was a freshman in high school, we took a 3-day trip as a family, a road trip to the East Coast. We saw Washington, D.C., New York, and a bunch of stuff, but it was 3 days in a van with my family. And my sister and I sat in different rows, but I sat by my other sister. And if you've ever been on a long trip with your family, you know the struggle. Show of hands. Who's been on a trip longer than 2 days with your family? Something starts to happen. You can be really good siblings, but something cracks on the second day. Because you're like, I can't take it in this confined space anymore. But, afterwards, you have those funny stories. Like going home from our trip was probably like the longest trip of my life because I just wanted to go home, but my family kept stopping. Like, let's stop at Carlsbad Cabins. Like, no, we're one state over, let's just go home. And so we have these stories, we have these struggles, and they bond us. And me and my sister, it's fun to joke about that now. But families have stories. A community needs stories. A community needs moments. And again, that's what we've been talking about this entire semester, is making moments. And in a community, that's where moments happen. So choose a community. You might be asking yourself, where is my community? Well, it could be anywhere. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your sports team. Maybe it's your church. Maybe it's all three. Maybe there's something else. There's awesome, great opportunities for you to join something important and belong. Because I remember what it was like in high school. The isolation, it feels safer, but really, in a lot of ways, it's more dangerous. When you get hurt, you're hurt alone. When you fail alone. But in a community, people are there to help you when you fail. You guys might have seen a story this past week about that mother whale who carried her dead baby whale across a significant part of the ocean, but she traveled with a pod of whales. And so it's kind of a beautiful picture of what community is. That she was grieving the loss of her child, but yet all these other whales took their time to travel with her. And if you haven't looked that up on Twitter or wherever you get your news. But don't leave this school year without belonging to something. Choose to make moments in a community. So choose to be in a community and know your role in that community. I think it's very important to know your role. Know who you are, know what you contribute. Because, when you're in a community, there's lots of different personalities. And you're kind of finding out who you are too. So find out who you are. We all have a part to play. If you've never taken a personality test before, there's a really great one that splits you up into the 4 different animals, and you guys might be familiar with this. But in any community, you basically have these 4 different types of people. The first one is the lion. You might know some lions. This is the leader, the goal-oriented person, the person who's very direct, and sometimes they can get in your face. And sometimes they can walk over you. They just want to accomplish the goal, and sometimes they kind of use you in a way. But these are the strong people that we all need in our communities. They help us to go. Then you also have a beaver. Beavers, they're the hard workers. I think he's eating some cheese there. It's supposed to be wood, I guess, but to me it looks like crumbly cheese. But they're hard workers. They love order. They love rules. They tend to be perfectionists. And they kind of are annoying sometimes, let's be honest. But every community needs this type of person. So maybe you're a lion, maybe you're a beaver, maybe you're an otter. I've found working with students that many students are just otters. Look how cute that guy is. He's got a walking stick. Look at that. He's just going for a stroll. All right, otter. They love people. They're very open. They're positive. Sometimes they goof off. They are the Phoebe of the group. There are lots of otters in your friend groups, probably. And then lastly is the golden retriever. They are loyal, caring. Oh, it's just a puppy. They have deep relationships, but sometimes they're non-confrontational. They don't really like conflict, and it's hard for them to deal with it. That's what I am. I am a golden retriever. I want to make sure that everybody is getting along and very amiable, but my fault is that I don't know how to deal with conflict very well. And so I need people like the beaver and the lion to help me. And so you need to find out what you are and surround yourself with the other animals, because together we can succeed and do great things. So everybody has positive and negatives, but it's how you work together. So find out who you are and how you can help. Because the community needs to accomplish stuff, and you need to know your role in order to do that. But we also have roles in our family. So that's a community. We also have family roles, and you guys are very familiar with this, because right now you're all at the child role. We all start out there as a child. As we grow older, we become a spouse. And then as we grow older, we become a parent. But all of those roles work together. A child can't go out every day, earn a bunch of money, come home, and act like they own the place. That doesn't really work. And it might seem like you're the center of your family, But really, the family is supposed to work together. Everyone works together. Your parents are to ensure the well-being and development of you, and they want to hear from you. I work with parents all the time whose number one complaint is that they just don't feel like you communicate to them, or it's hard to get things out of you. So as hard as it is and as lame as it might seem, it's very important to communicate to your parents because we all work together. There's a reason that your house has a dinner table. It's a fundamentally human thing to sit around and enjoy a meal together. Like, you don't see a bunch of lions in the wild do that. They just eat the zebra and they move on. Like, we have a dinner table. Sorry if that was too graphic. We have a dinner table to come together and talk about your day. So it might be awkward, but communicate. Don't shut your parents out. So no one is at the center. Everyone works together. So in the end, all of us together, know your role, choose a community, because Framily is a choice. It's a choice that you make every single day. So choose people to be there for you, and choose people to be there for. So Framily, it might only last for a season. The friends that you have right now, the groups that you belong to, it might only last for a little while, but its impact lasts forever. Peace.